The rain misted softly over London's Belgrave Square, blurring the edges of the grand white townhouses. Beneath the gaslight glow, two men stepped from a waiting carriage, their shoes clicking sharply against the wet stones. They moved with purpose. Visionaries, industrialists, dreamers of impossible dreams. Inside the warmth of a panelled drawing room, fine brandy was poured, the fire crackled, and the future of ocean travel was plotted. J. Bruce Ismay, head of the White Star Line, leaned forward eagerly as Lord Perrier of Harland and Wolff spread out the designs. The idea was simple and audacious, a ship of unmatched size, elegance, and comfort, a floating palace that would tame the Atlantic. No rival would dare to compete, Ismay said, eyes gleaming. And none could match it if they tried, Peary replied, raising his glass. Far from London's polished corridors, in the shipyards of Belfast, hammers rang against steel. Sparks danced in the grey air as the skeleton of the Titanic began to rise, rivet by rivet, plate by massive plate. Thousands of men laboured through long days and bitter cold, forging a vessel meant to be both invincible and immortal. Among them was young Jimmy McGann, a lad from Liverpool, quick with his fists and quicker with his smile. Opportunity had knocked, or rather, Jimmy had knocked on every door, until someone relented and gave him a place on the crew. He would serve in the bowels of the ship, sweating beside the great roaring furnaces. But Jimmy didn't mind. Work was work, and Titanic was going to be something to tell the grandchildren about. Meanwhile, preparations continued with a pomp matched only by ambition. Captain Edward John Smith, a man with a silver beard and a steady hand, was appointed to command the ship on her maiden voyage, a final crowning achievement before retirement. Smith accepted the honor with quiet pride, but even he could not ignore a small but unsettling series of mishaps. The lookout's binoculars, carefully set aside for the crow's nest, had vanished without a trace, lost somewhere in the shuffle of endless cargo and crates. A simple mistake, no doubt, easily fixed. Still, a whisper of unease drifted through the officers. Far from the noise of industry, in a modest home outside Southampton, Esther Hart folded linens into a steamer trunk. She should have been excited. A voyage to a new life in America awaited. But Esther felt only dread, a cold certainty that the ship would never reach its destination. She spoke little of it to her husband and daughter, but at night her dreams were filled with dark waters and cries for help. And then, one grey morning in Belfast, tragedy struck. A young shipyard worker slipped on the towering scaffold surrounding Titanic's vast hull. He fell like a rag doll, striking the hard ground below. The men who rushed to him already knew there was nothing they could do. Before the ship even tasted water, it had claimed its first life. The incident was chalked up to misfortune, an inevitable cost of such great endeavor. But among the workers, a chill settled in, as if the Titanic herself had drawn first blood. And yet the dream pressed forward, unstoppable, like the tide itself. Invitations were sent. Tickets were sold. The world waited. Soon, Titanic would leave dry land behind forever.